Hi, welcome back to the Unfiltered feed, and it's TUF1 again after a long time. As you all know, the Formula One season is about to start this week. It's the Australian Grand Prix this Sunday, so I thought of giving my predictions for this season. So, in this video, we are going to first look at the Drivers' Championship predictions, as you can see. And if there's enough time, I'll probably make another video for the Constructors' Championship predictions. So let's get started. We are going to rank, or I'm going to basically rank all the drivers from the last place, which is 22 this year, all the way to the first place. And I'll give you a quick explanation for why I have placed a particular driver in a spot. So let's get started. In P22, we have uh, Bottas, and in P21 we have Sergio Perez. I think this is quite obvious. Cadillac is a brand new team this year. By brand new, I mean that they are starting from scratch. There's another new team, which is Audi, but they have taken over Sauber, who have been in the sport for a long time. So for the actual employees and even the drivers, it's not a major change. It's just that from the outside, the branding and all of that, it's a new team. Of course, they make new engines, but they have been an F1 operation, so they are used to things. Whereas with Cadillac, it's a completely new team. They have their own base in the US and also in UK. They have a completely new set of employees, a new leadership, and they have two drivers that haven't been in the sport last year. So it's a bit of a new thing for them, which is why I think they are going to be at the back. It's not something that's unexpected at this stage. I think Cadillac, they've looked pretty good in testing so far, but they did have a few issues in Bahrain. So I'm not expecting them to score a lot of points this year. I just hope that they can finish a lot of races, gain a lot of data, start improving the car, and then maybe next year or the year after that is when we can start to see them in the midfield. But for this year, I think they're going to be at the back. Amongst the two drivers, I think Perez is a bit more, I would say, a bit more adaptive to the car. He's known for his extremely, uh, you know, significant tire management skill. He's shown that in his years at Red Bull, and he's often outperformed his cars throughout his career. We have seen that in Force India and even Racing Point, like they were called. He's always had some mediocre machinery, but he's always put it in places where it doesn't belong. He's scored a lot of podiums for Force India. He also won in 2020. So he's used to outperforming his car, which is what I think he'll do this year as well. Bottas, don't get me wrong, he's not a bad driver by any means. He is an absolutely legendary driver because he went up against Lewis Hamilton in his prime and he wasn't absolutely outclassed. He did win a few races. He did beat Lewis occasionally here and there, which is quite good. So this is a very strong lineup, but unfortunately, because of the car that they'll have, I think they're going to be at the back of the grid. Let's move to the next driver. I think I'll have to be a bit quicker than this for the other drivers, so I'll try my best. In P20, I'm going with Lance Stroll. This is again because of the car. As we all know, Aston Martin have had a very, it's been a very difficult and a terrible pre-season for them. They've had a lot of reliability issues. I think on the last day of the Bahrain testing, they ran for only 6 laps, which is very shocking because no other team has had reliability issues, not even Cadillac or Audi, who are making a new car and a new engine respectively. So it's quite a shame for Aston Martin. There are kind of doubts or concerns whether they will even be able to finish races at the start of the year, which is very disappointing. So I think it's going to be a very tough season for them, at least for the first few races. I do think Aston Martin will start turning things around, but it will be a bit too late. And I feel because of the bad start, they'll lose out on a lot of points, which is why I'm placing Lance Stroll in P20. look out for where I place Alonso because it's a bit higher than you would expect. But I think Aston Martin overall as a package is going to be quite poor. They will manage to surpass Cadillac at the very end of the season. That's what I think. But for most of the season, they will be right with Cadillac at the back of the grid. So that's P20, Lance Stroll. Let's go ahead now. So in P18 and 19, I've placed the two Audi guys, Nico Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto. I think Audi will be in the midfield in some races, but for most of the season, they will be at the back as well. Obviously, with 22 drivers and only the top 10 drivers scoring, it's a bit difficult now to score points. Till last season, if you were in the top 10, which was basically just the top 50%, you would score points, but now you have to do slightly better than 50%. So basically, there are going to be more drivers who will be out of the points than in the points, which makes it quite tough for teams like Audi, Cadillac, and maybe even Aston to score points consistently. I do think Audi will score points. They will do well in some races, but I just don't think that they're going to outperform the teams like Haas or Alpine or Racing Bulls, which is why I'm placing them in P18 and 19. Uh, yeah, it's going to be a decent season for them. Hulkenberg obviously has a lot of experience, which will help him in this new regulations. A lot of uncertainties with the car. They might have to, all the drivers will basically have to unlearn a lot of things and, treat these new cars as a fresh challenge, and there'll be a new driving style. So I think Hulkenberg, with his experience, will do slightly better, but I think Bortoleto will also be right around with him. So very close between these two drivers. Let's go to P17 now. And this is Alex Albon. This is quite a shock, but I mean, I hope you all know that Williams have also had a difficult preseason. Not as reliable. I mean, the difficulties were not related to reliability, but more of the car being behind schedule. I mean, they did start developing their 2026 car, the first, but the team itself is lacking the infrastructure that modern F1 teams need, which is why they kind of fell behind schedule. They were not able to make it to Barcelona for the shakedown, which which costed them 3 days of running, which is quite a lot. They did do well in Bahrain in terms of the reliability, got in a number of laps, but I don't think they were able to do their performance runs that they would have wanted. So I think Williams are going to be behind. They're going to be at the back of the midfield pack. So which is why I'm placing Albon in 17th. I mean, they'll definitely score points in a few races, but again, similar to Audi, I don't see them outclassing Alpine, Haas, or Racing Bulls consistently. It'll be very close between those four, but I think Williams will earn on the on the unfavorable side. Great. So let's move to P16 now. I've gone with Fernando Alonso. I'm sure after seeing Stroll in P20, you would have expected Alonso to be somewhere close to him. But I think Fernando Alonso is going to again outclass his car like he's done for almost his entire career now. I think Alonso will have have a few good races towards the end of the season. Aston Martin will eventually, I am hoping, get things right. They'll sort out the issues with Honda. And I really hope that the car itself has a lot of potential. It's just that they are not able to unlock it right now. So once they're able to do that, I think Alonso will have a pretty decent car and he will be able to score a few points here and there, which will move him up to P16. That's what I hope. Yeah, against Lance Stroll, I think Alonso is going to basically wipe him off again, like he's done for the past 2 seasons, 3 seasons actually. So not a different story there. But yeah, it's quite sad that Aston Martin once again have not really lived up to their potential. But I hope that they can start turning things around through the season, and then maybe they can fight for better positions next year. Let's see. But yeah, Alonso in P16 for me. Next up is the only rookie of this year. It's Arvid Lindblad. And to be honest, positions 9 to 15 were very difficult to predict because I'm really not sure which of the midfield teams are going to start the season ahead and continue that because even if a team starts well, it can get outdeveloped by its competitors. So this is quite difficult. So I'm thinking that P9 to P15 is going to be fairly close. Lindblad, I'm placing him in P15 only because he's a rookie, so he's quite new to the sport. Not a lot of experience. He will, there will be a few difficult moments. So that's why I placed him in P15. But yeah, nothing much to say. P14 is Carlos Sainz. Yeah, again, obviously, Williams, this is not where they want to be, but I think Sainz will again get a few results that the car, might not deserve. He will do better than Albon, like we saw towards the end of last year. Sainz is a wonderful driver. He's won multiple races. He could potentially win championships if he's in the right car. So, he has to, I mean, he will obviously outperform the car, get a few points that were unexpected, through his strategy or something like that, which is why I think he'll be ahead of Albon and in this midfield pack. But yeah, just like Alonso, it's not the place where Science deserves to be fighting. So I really hope that Williams can, find the potential, develop their facilities and all of that, and just get ahead because it's going to be it would be really fun to watch Williams fight for wins and podiums along with the other four teams. So yeah, Sainz in 14th. Next up, I have Esteban Ocon. I think Haas have looked really good in the preseason testing. They have also got a Ferrari engine, which should help them with the race starts, at least in the first few races. Which is why I'm predicting that Esteban Ocon and Oliver, both of them, will score a few points at the start of the year when they have this advantage. And I think for Ocon, he didn't have the best season last year. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be pretty much the same thing this year, where he will definitely have a few good races because he is a race winner after all. But he will still be outperformed by Ollie Behrman. Not by a big margin, but still by a decent enough margin. So P13 for Ocon. Yeah, as I said, this bunch is very difficult to predict, and I'm just going with my gut feeling right now. P12 is Franco Colapinto. He's had a very bad season last year, but that was mostly down to the car. Obviously, he made a few mistakes as well, but I think that car was very difficult to drive. Luckily for them, this year the Alpine is looking much better. They've got the Mercedes powertrain, which looks like the best power unit this season. And I think Alpine have always been held back by the power unit. But other than that, they've usually built pretty good cars. If you look at 2022, they were P4 in the championship. Earlier, if you look at 2021, 2020, they were scoring podiums. So, yeah, I think this year Alpine are going to do much better than last year because they've got the best engine, and I hope they've spent a lot of time building this car. So it's really good. So let's hope that that's the case. So call up into in P12 for me. Next up, I've gone with Liam Lawson, and this could feel like a surprise, placing Lawson in P11, way ahead of Lindblad. But I genuinely believe that Lawson is a great driver. He's unfortunately he's not had the best build up to a season because in 2023 he was brought in as a replacement for Daniel Ricciardo for a few races, which is again not ideal for a rookie. When you're making a debut, you would usually like to have a decent preseason testing and a few races to kind of build your confidence up. He didn't get to do that. Even in 2024, he was brought in mid-season to replace Daniel Ricciardo again, which is again not ideal. Last year, obviously, he started with Red Bull and then moved to Racing Bulls, which was again a bit of a shock. So this year essentially is his first proper preseason where he knows the team, he's comfortable with the car, hopefully. So I think he can show his real potential. I think he's delivered some great results already. I remember his result in Baku, where I think he finished P4, which was incredible. So yeah, I think Lawson is going to surprise a lot of fans. I'm certainly backing him. He's a nice character. Sometimes might appear to be arrogant, but I think he's just um, yeah, he's obviously dealt with a lot of things already in his short career, but I hope he's going to succeed, and that's why I've placed him in P11. Now let's move to the top 10, and I've gone with Ollie Behrman. I think it's not a big surprise because clearly I'm thinking that the Haas is going to be a very good car for most of the season, and I think Ollie Behrman will extract the best from it. He'll outclass his teammate, not by a lot, but yeah, he will do that. A lot of points. Podiums is looking tough because I think the big four teams are way ahead. But Haas will, I'm predicting that Haas with Ocon and Behrman will always be fighting for the points. And I just think that Behrman will be more frequent, which is why I've placed him ahead of Ocon in P10. So yeah, I mean, from P10 to P15, it was quite difficult. P9 as well. I've gone with Isaac Hajar. Ideally, you would want him to be in the top eight, but this is the second Red Bull seat, which has not been the easiest place in the past few years. I think the new regulations are going to help Hajar because he'll have a lot of say in how the car is being developed, and also the fact that Max Verstappen, it's not a given that he'll stay in F1 for many more years to come. I think Red Bull can't really risk, developing the car totally for Max. They will have to listen to Hajar as well, and put both of their preferences in when developing, which is why I think Hajar will do a better job. But given that, I think the Red Bull package itself is not going to be the best, which is why I'm placing him in P9. It will be a decent season for Hajar, but yeah, P9 obviously is not it's not a good season when you're in a Red Bull, but it's better than the previous ones. So yeah, Hajar in P9. And finally, I've got Pierre Gasly in P8. This completes the midfield for me. This is where it will be very difficult to really predict who's going to do well. So from P8 all the way to P15, it's going to be quite close. That's what I'm predicting. Pierre Gasly, I think he's a quality driver. We've seen that in 2021, where he, I think he used to get top five finishes for fun. I think he had over 5 to 6 top five finishes that year, which was formidable for him. But since then, he's not really had the best machinery under him, which is why he's not been on the higher positions in the championship. But I think that's going to change. As I mentioned earlier, Alpine are going to be a much better car, which will allow Gasly to really show his skills and drag the Alpine to positions where it doesn't belong. So yeah, Gasly in P8 for me. Next up, these are going to be the top four teams. So again, this is going to be fairly close, but I hope I can give my explanations. This is a big shock. The championship, the defending champion, Lando Norris in P7, and his teammate Oscar Piastri in P6. This is only because I think the McLaren is going to be, on average, the third or fourth best car this year. Being a customer team won't really help them a lot because there are already rumors that McLaren they haven't really found the best way to unlock energy management with the new Mercedes power unit. So it will take them some time with that. And yeah, I just hope that they will figure it out eventually, but by then it will be a bit too late. Plus the engine compression ratio thing, the new test that FI is introducing, I think in June, that's going to also hurt the Mercedes powered cars, which McLaren's are. So that will also tamper their chances. So yeah, I think they will definitely score podiums, maybe wins if they're lucky, but I don't see this being, a very successful year for McLaren. They might finish in P3 or P4 in the constructors. Stay tuned for for that video. But yeah, I think P6, P7 sounds fair right now. I think Piastri uh, will make us a jump ahead, like he did last year. And I'm hoping that these cars will suit his driving style a bit more than Norris. Uh, but yeah, it's going to be very close, just like it was last year. But I don't know. I just feel that Piastri will pip Norris by a slight. So that's why I'm placing him in P6 and Norris in P7. P5 for me is the four-time world champion Max Verstappen. I think, like I mentioned earlier, the Red Bull package is again not going to be the best. I think the Mercedes and Ferrari packages are going to be slightly better, which is why I think for me, will lock out the top four positions in the standings. But having said that, Verstappen obviously, if Verstappen is driving your car, then your car automatically becomes better by about 10 to 20%. And that's exactly what will happen this year as well. I think he will get race wins. I think he will have a lot of podiums. I just think that there might be a few reliability issues because Ford and Red Bull are making their engine for the first time. It shouldn't ideally be all smooth sailing. I mean, theoretically, there should be a few problems for them. There should be a few things that go wrong because that's the only way you get better. So I think it's going to be like 2022, if you remember the start where Red Bull had two DNFs in the first three races. Just that I think this is going to spread across the season, maybe like 2019 or 2018 with Daniel Ricciardo. So yeah, I think it's only because of that Verstappen will finish in P5. Otherwise, I think he's going to be quite competitive in the races that he finishes. So yeah, that's my logic. Obviously, as I said, it's very difficult to predict this top seven because there's basically no idea about which team is going to be the best. Because there are some folks who are saying that the Ferrari looks good, some folks that say that the Mercedes has been and will be the best car. Some say that Red Bull have just taken everyone by surprise and they've built a really good car. The others say that you have to go for McLaren because they're the defending champions and they know how to beat Mercedes using their own engines. So there's a case for all the four teams, but this is just what I think might happen. Let's move to the top four now. In P4, I've gone with Sir Lewis Hamilton. I think P4 should, in theory, be a much better season for him compared to his last season. But obviously, as Lewis Hamilton and as Lewis Hamilton fans, you only hope for P1 and everything else is a failure. But I genuinely think that Hamilton will be much more competitive. I'm hoping that these cars are a bit more to his liking. He's obviously mentioned that they're very complex to drive, but I think that reaction was, or a part of it was that it was all new to them, right? It was only, I think he made that reaction on the very first day of Bahrain testing. So prior to that, he had basically driven the car for about 3 days on track and obviously a few simulation sessions. But I think as they get more used to these cars, as they drive in more races, qualifyings, I think they will have a better idea and they'll just build that muscle memory or that skill set. And then I think it just comes down to who's going to be the best on track. And there's obviously very few drivers who can be as good or better than Lewis. Although he's 41 now, I think he still has, he still has that in him, just like Alonso. All he needs is a good car, a good frame of mind, and he just needs a team behind him. And I'm hoping that Ferrari can do that for him. P4 this year, yeah, he's going to have podiums, maybe race wins. So yeah, I'm just excited for Lewis Hamilton this year. I hope he's in a happy place because it was honestly very difficult to see him struggling throughout last year. So I'm hoping that he has a much better season this time. Let's see what happens. Now it's time for the podium. So this is going to be exciting. In P3, I'm placing Andrea Kimi Antonelli. I think Kimi will win races this year. He should. If the Mercedes is as good as everyone is saying, I just think that he's going to lack a bit of experience, very similar to how Oscar Piastri did in 2024. Piastri also won races. He also, I mean, outclassed Lando Norris in a few sessions. Um, I think Antonelli will do that, but just like Oscar did, he will miss out on a bit of experience. Managing races, adapting to different tracks, adapting to different driving styles, changing the way you drive your car according to different situations. I think that's something drivers they learn as they drive for more seasons. And just like Oscar, I think Kimi will also, he'll improve, but he'll still be on that upward trajectory. And maybe in 2027 or 2028, you will see, you know, like a decent level where Kimi can, start competing for wins and championships. So I think this is going to be a learning year for him. He'll definitely be much better than last time. I'm expecting him to be a bit more consistent because last year he had insane peaks, but then he also had very low moments as well. So I just hope that he can keep a decent baseline throughout the season, especially in the European leg where he struggled last time. But I'm hoping that this time he'll do better. So P3 for him. Now it's the big call. Who's going to finish in P2? And that will tell you who's going to win the championship. So I'm predicting that George Russell will finish in P2, which means that Charles Leclerc will win the championship. So let's talk about Leclerc first. To be very honest, I am kind of convinced that Mercedes and Ferrari are slightly ahead of McLaren and Red Bull, but I have absolutely no clue who's the better car between Mercedes and Ferrari. And myself, being a Ferrari fan, I am going to give the benefit of doubt to Ferrari because I mean I have been praying for these days where Ferrari genuinely look like a good car. They look like a good team. All the correlation between the wind tunnel and the track is matching, which is what Fred Vasseur said today. And I'm really praying that Charles Leclerc finally gets a car that he deserves because I think since 2020 he's always had a car that has not really been deserving of the skills that Leclerc possesses. Yes, he's made a few mistakes, he's thrown away a few races, but I think that's more of a thing of a past. Since 2024, I don't really remember where Leclerc has made a blunder or he's crashed out of a race. Obviously, Ferrari have made a few strategic errors, but I mean, it's not good, but it can happen. I just think that this year team is looking a lot more positive. Leclerc has been fairly optimistic in the preseason. They did do a lot of quali simulations, which no other team did. So that could mean two things. One is that Ferrari are behind and they basically want to maximize qualifying. Or the second thing, what I believe in is that they are clear and they don't really need to do a lot of long, long runs. But yeah, I mean, there's no clue, but I'm predicting Leclerc to win, and hopefully it comes true. But yeah, I think between Russell and Leclerc, it's going to be fairly close. In fact, between the top four, it's going to be quite close. I think all of them are going to win multiple races this year. Um, I mean, assuming that Mercedes and Ferrari are ahead, that's what I think. So yeah, it's going to be very close. But I think from what I understand is that Ferrari should have the better race starts. I'm not sure in terms of energy management what happens, but I think Mercedes will win a few races at the start of the year. I think they'll dominate at the start of the year. But after the rule change that applies to the compression ratio tests, I think that will peg Mercedes a little bit, which would be enough for Ferrari to come back into the championship. That's what I'm hoping. And it's quite similar to last year, where Max Verstappen came into the championship pretty late. that was down to McLaren fumbling. But I think this time Ferrari will be the better car towards the end of the season, kind of like 2024. But yeah, I just hope that Leclerc manages to get it done. I hope that Ferrari don't make a lot of mistakes, and yeah, it would be fantastic if Leclerc can finally win the championship. And if not that, I just hope that he can win a lot of races, fight all the way to the end. And even if he loses, it doesn't really, I mean, it won't be as hurtful than seeing him struggle, seeing others win races when you know that Leclerc is talented to dominate championships on his own. So yeah, that's my 22 predictions for the Drivers' Championship this year. It's going to be an exciting season. Uh, a lot of people are still saying that the top four teams are going to be very close, and we might have a four-way championship fight, a five-way championship fight. But from experience, the start of new regulations is always extremely boring. It's always extremely one-sided. If you're lucky, you might have a two-way fight, which was the case in 2022, where we had Red Bull and Ferrari starting off strong, but Ferrari got pegged by the technical directive that came in at Spa, and then it was a one-way story to the end. I think it's going to be fairly similar this year with Ferrari and Mercedes doing well. Mercedes will start off strong, but I'm thinking that the new rule uh, that will come in June will affect them a bit, and then I'm hoping that it's going to be a one-way Ferrari domination. I'm laughing while saying it, so yeah, um, it would be really insane if that happens. But yeah, that's my predictions. I hope some of this comes right, and then at the end of the season, I'll make a video looking back at these predictions and then seeing how it actually ended up being. And I would be very proud if I got about 50% of them right. So yeah, that's the benchmark over here. So yeah, anyways, that's the end of this video. Um, I know the F1 videos haven't really been very frequent, but I'm hoping that it changes. So yeah, let's hope that this season is great, and I'll be back with more Formula One videos. So till then, goodbye and stay safe. And this is Yash signing off. Bye.